Good afternoon. It is May 23rd. Things are really starting to pick up, including an oil rig that's being constructed nearby. Gotta love that. So it's just a little update on what's going on. The first 8 or so rows are tomatillos, and those have a lot of fruits on them. I've been having some that are dropping off, and they're having these little holes or bites in them, but no larvae of any kind are inside of it. The plants all look beautiful, so not sure why they're being attacked. I may spray them with some micronutrient. The bees really love them. I had some green beans planted between there and there, and just harvested those. Got a couple, maybe like 30 pounds off one row. So they were kind of just an afterthought. The lettuce is just bolting right here. I'm leaving it. And there's a row of tomatoes and one more row of tomatillos right there. These are green beans. I got a little over 100 pounds off of this bed. Yeah, they did pretty good. I missed a harvest, so I ended up with a lot of them that got a little too far gone, and then they were just maybe like another 20 or so pounds I missed out on because I harvested them too late. And then these are pumpkins underneath the grass. A living mulch, as I like to call it. Good excuse for having lots of weeds. But I've got stuff in here that's not dying, so I don't really want to tarp it or till it again and have to start over. So I'm just gonna leave it how it is and see how this stuff does. Got some pepper plants right here and here, 2 rows of them. I think there's some residual herbicide from when they sprayed the corn a couple weeks ago. So everything basically over there that wasn't just planted is kind of struggling. I had recently reread the One Star Revolution, so I was a little bit inspired to do some easier form of planting and stuff. So this actually worked out really well. It looks like turf. It's lettuce. So I'm gonna get a little closer. And this will probably be ready in 2 more weeks. We're gonna have a rain, I think on Monday or Sunday. But the soil underneath is pretty damp still, so they're growing really well. I'm really happy with how this looks. And then just have a lot of extra tomatoes that I'm probably not gonna plant because I just put way too many in case most of them died. I was worried about that. I've got a couple rows of this special variety of corn that I'm gonna be saving for seed. It's called a yellow Creole. I treated it with some BioCoat Gold and seed flare, so they're coming up really strong. Plants look really good. They're only a couple weeks old, maybe a little under 2 weeks. So pretty happy with that. These are some tomatoes that I planted later, and these are the best looking tomatoes that I have so far. When I put them out, the transplants didn't even look very good. They were maybe yay big, and had a couple decent sized leaves on them. But they look really good. The difference between these and the other ones that I'm going to show you are this plot was in RYE and VETCH cover crop, and then I mowed it and tarped it. So there's a little bit of weeds coming in, but the mulch, it barely had any biomass, barely any growth above ground. But the root mass that was in here was like really, really good. So the soil is way improved. Even after I've walked on this a bunch, it's like I'm able to dig into it, but pretty much everywhere else on the farm, I can't. And there's good aggregation. Soy farms. That's nice. So yeah, I'm really happy with these. This is just a lesson for how I'd want to do the whole, like, other 3 plots. Didn't build beds, didn't do any other crap. These aren't even irrigated, and they're doing just fine. So, kind of a lesson, I think. The potatoes did really bad from the beginning, because we had a ton of rain and then not any rain at all, and then a ton more rain, and they started off rotting, and then they got really dry, and then they got taken over by weeds. So I had to tarp them. This is what pretty much all the beds looks like. There's potatoes in there, believe it or not. They're really small. Volunteer tomato plant from Comfrey. And then these are all the rest of the tomatoes. So I haven't trellised those over there. I'm not even sure if I'm going to. I might, but some of these are starting to really bounce back from all the rains we had. Got a ton of tomato plants in here, and I've been hand weeding all of these beds, so you can see more of the line. I'm gonna put a little bit more of this mulch on it. It was kind of weedy, but between all the beds, the ones that are built up are the second best. But I've had some issues with drainage over on those back ones, those sun golds that are over there. But yeah, they're starting to bounce back after all the rain that we've had. So hopefully they'll keep growing strong like this. So yeah, I've just been hand weeding these. It's like kind of intermixed. When I planted, some of the transplants didn't look exactly the same, and I flip-flopped them around a little bit. And so I think I threw in some sun golds where the San Marzanos were like supposed to be. So yeah, they're a little bit interspersed, but yeah, you can kind of see how plants go from like decently well over there to like worse as you go down in that direction, because that's where the lowest point in this little spot is. So I've got some that look really good right here, but that's how I'd like all of them to look. And I planted a cover crop of radish, and it's doing a decent job of keeping the weeds down. Then I had another, this is another one of those plots that I did like just a scattered seed and then tarped it with the white side up. Just looks like turf right there, the thick mat of lettuce, and then this is cilantro. It's gonna come up really good. It's already come up really good, but it's gonna fill in really nicely. And then here's the lettuce mix. It's kind of sparse, but there's some other spots down there that I reseeded, and when it rains, again, it'll fill in. I did a little bit of a tree row on that side, over there. It's not really doing much just yet. I just did like some cuttings of willow and saltbush, because apparently that can, sorry for moving too fast, apparently that can be propagated by cutting. Sunflowers that I just planted super easily. I just scattered the seed and tilled them under. They're doing really well. Got some marigolds and zinnias in there too, and then a couple of other random little bits and bobs. There's the zinnias, they look really nice. Marigold back there. These look beautiful. So here's some other little experimental thing, is some Jerusalem artichokes with Apios americana, which is a vining native leguminous tuber. A lot of adjectives there. Here's what the vine looks like. They're pretty. They make a pinkish flower. Looks kind of like a pea flower. And then Here's some more lettuce underneath the tarp that I had seeded. It's probably germinating right now. Good look. Yeah. One little seed that's germinated. And here's another one. I'm gonna still leave it on a little longer. Too sparse. I'd put cilantro in there and didn't really come up very well. The bees are really loving these sunflowers. This is where I did have strawberries. I mean, they're still alive in there, but they really have been suffering from that blight that's, I gotten these transplants from somewhere, and they already had the disease, so they were really suffering, just like I'd gotten onion transplants in the same place. So don't think I'll buy transplants from them again. These are probably one of my favorite crops because they're super easy to grow and they don't have a problem with weeds. They can self-sow with seed, or you can save the seed and sow it yourself. That was a lot of alliteration. And they also propagate vegetatively, so like you can see how this one is making seeds. But if you look down here, this is the same. There's only one onion plant right here, but this stalk, after it made seed into flower, it shoots off a new stalk. They're just a bunching variety of onion, and they can grow. I mean, the soil is not super soft right here. It's pretty hard, but I think they like this. I like leaving this clover. It just came up naturally. It's something that I would have like paid to plant, but it's doing really well, and it's fixing nitrogen. So I did have a bunch of collards. There's a couple of them, but the rest of them died when it flooded. We had too much rain, and then not enough, and then too much. More lettuce, a little bit of okra, more weeds, some lettuce mix that I'm letting sit and go to seed because I liked the varieties and I want to save the seeds. Some green onions and lettuce. Back on the other side over there is just a cover crop of buckwheat. I'll walk all the way around. This was some weeds. There was some cilantro on here, but after I harvested it, I just tarped it. Some lettuce and green onions, a little bit of okra. One of my favorite crops, just because of how it looks, is amaranth. I haven't even harvested anything off of it. I just think it's beautiful. Crazy stark contrast against everything else. Some basil and green onions. I've gotten a lot of basil out of this bed. And then some more stuff that I just tarped. So you can see how weedy it got from where the tarp was blown off. Probably have to put another cinder block on this. Basil, it's right there on the back side. Oh, sorry, I'm moving a lot. Here's a little bit of cilantro I planted in between the onions. This bed is supposed to be all cilantro, but germination wasn't good, so then I planted a bunch of other stuff. I try to like fill all the space that I can with something that's got some kind of value, whether it's for pollinators or I can harvest it or whatever. I sowed some buckwheat and a little bit of oats in here. Buckwheat came up, but it's suffering a little bit from lack of water. So I'm hoping that'll, when we get a little bit of rain, it'll grow up and shade out all this grass that's in here. Here's another little bed of those onions on the back side. It was garlic that I just harvested. But these all went to flower. I got a lot of flowers off of them, like pretty decent value in the flower. Got the onion. The whole plant is really valuable. So this one's splitting off. You can see where it's making new growth. So focus there, making new growth. And these old stalks are gonna die off. Can pretty easily rip them out. But yeah, I'll have a bunch of tender green onions because like once they get to be like this stage, they're super hard and not good to eat. They are pretty though, so there's that. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going on right now. There's a little bit of stuff planted over the levee, but not really interested in showing that because it's just totally overtaken with Johnson grass and way too much for me to manage by myself. So kind of feel like it was a little bit of a waste, but you know, live and learn. All right, see you guys next time.